So some of you may remember my producer had a little mishap. They are back from the hospital. Welcome. And we've decided with this Happytime Murders review that they are going to be allowed to give me an electric shock with these little electrodes on my shoulder every time I say certain words. So apparently the title of the movie is one of them. And the power's going to get more intense, yes, as we... So hopefully it's a little fun, and hopefully you learn a little bit about the Happytime Murders. But I knew that one was coming. So this movie is a movie that features humans and puppets living alongside of each other. It's directed by Jim Henson, Jim Henson's son, rather, who did... Okay, there's a lot of words I'm apparently not allowed to say. He did The Muppet Christmas Carol, The Muppet Treasure Island. So a bunch of, you know, kid-friendly Muppet movies. And then this one is not a kid-friendly movie at all. It's full of adult humor. But the movie basically centers around an investigation, a private detective, and if you forget about the fact that it's puppets for a minute, it's a very basic kind of LA murder homicide investigation. And it's fairly good. It kind of ends up mediocre towards the end. I didn't really like the second half of the movie as much as the first, but the first half, I was actually really surprised at kind of how good and how much of an old school detective movie it really felt like. It just had that sort of LA Hollywood detective vibe, and they really pulled it off to the point where, yes, it's puppets, but you're also sort of like in this way. You're also sort of in this world where they're interacting with humans. One thing I found really interesting, I've never seen in a puppet movie before, is they have legs. And I think they did a really good job with the legs. They looked kind of cool. I've never seen that I should have looked up synonyms for puppet. I was a little apprehensive going in because it did look like it was just raunchy humor for the sake of raunchiness, and just because it was featured with, we'll call them marionettes from now on, that was the joke. That, yeah, it's raunchy, and because it's with these toys, that's what makes it funny. And there are a lot of jokes like that. There's just sort of your basic dick and sex jokes that would not be funny if it wasn't for the context of this movie, but I was actually surprised. There was a lot of creative jokes as well. There was a lot of jokes about just the fact that these creatures are filled with stuffing. They had a lot of jokes about that. There's funny jokes about dogs, how they can't kind of be around dogs. That, you know, jokes that would only really exist in this particular world, so you're not going to get jokes like that in any other movie. So there was a level of creativity I was surprised by. All in all, though, it's really kind of a fun concept, but it feels more like a sketch than a full feature, and because of that, you know, in 90 minutes, I'm glad it wasn't any longer than that, but a little past the halfway point, you really start to kind of fatigue on the whole puppet. Fuck! Okay. We're at 10? Okay. But you really do start to fatigue on the whole gimmick of this movie. But I had a good time. I think the people in the row behind me were having a lot more fun than I was with this one. But it is funny. I don't know that it's one I would necessarily watch again. Now, I would assume most of you watching this review would not have thought that this movie would have been a masterpiece, but if you liked the trailer and you were at least interested in it, the movie at least delivers on what you think you're going to get in the trailer. It's exactly what it looks like. It is a little raunchier than I expected it to be, and it is a little more clever than I expected it to be. Honestly, when the movie was over, I would have preferred to watch a 90-minute version of how they made this movie, just because that was more interesting to me than the actual movie itself. Ultimately, if I had to give this movie a review of like an actual star rating, I guess I'd go maybe 2.5. I don't know, it's pretty arbitrary because it's hard to relate this one to something else. It kind of stands out on its own as its own thing, and you're not really watching this one for the cinematic quality of it, so the review is somewhat meaningless. I think it has something like like 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is maybe to be expected, but it's not that bad, really. I can just see why, you know, critics are you know, hating on it, just like they always would with a raunchy comedy. It's exactly what you would expect it to be. Like I said, if it's something you want to see, I would definitely not discourage you from going to see it. If you had no interest in it, there's absolutely no reason to go see this one. So all in all, the electrocution is not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was expecting something way worse. Alright, so I guess we're all the way up on the power now. Still, not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but are we good? Are we good? Yeah, we're good. We're good. I'm your boss. All right, I'm gonna take this, and if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up, and be sure to check out my spoiler review, which I'm gonna just ruin everything in the movie. So if you don't want to go see it, but you want to know what happens, watch that one. If you have seen it, and you want to know my thoughts, watch it. It'll be up on the channel later today. But thanks for checking this one out, and you will see me on the next one. You motherfucker.